Well, welcome everybody to another webinar in the Psych Up series. It's good to have you with us, and whenever you get the opportunity to watch this webinar, I do hope you get something out of it. It's an interesting topic, and I think it's a topic that all of us probably, to some degree, are interested in. So what we've named this webinar is Grinding Out the Win. So we could have named it also, I think, Building Sustainable Success. I think most of us would be very aware that winning, being successful, getting to where we want to get to, heading sustainably towards our true north, something that's meaningful for us, something that's important to us, normally takes time. And you've got to be able to go the distance. You've got to have, if you like, and let's invent a word here, the stickability to hang in there, the grunt, the grit to go. You've got to have the resilience to be able to go through the good and the bad times, because very unlikely is it that we start at one point and go directly to another point with no hurdles, no barriers, no real challenges along the way. Normally there are challenges and there are hurdles, but we will all face as we move towards something, hopefully, that is very meaningful to us, that we are working on. Because if it's not meaningful to us, and it's not worth the grind, and it's not worth hanging in there, and it's not worth times having a few semi-sleepless nights, then it's probably not worth attaining. And we may have the wrong goal. We may have something that is not so meaningful to us, meaningful to ourselves or meaningful to others, that we are actually pursuing there. So what I'm going to do towards the end of the webinar is I'm going to introduce you to a model, and we call it BOSS, Building on Success. And Veritas is in the pros at this stage, and we're getting towards the final stages of developing a scale to be able to measure success. And we believe that it's going to be an absolutely useful tool for anybody to use if they really want to understand where they're at on a journey of being your very best, of being able to attain what it is you set out to attain, of being able to build your self-efficacy, your belief in yourself, to be able to do what it is you really need to do to get through life very well, and to have and attain the things that are meaningful to you, those you love, and others around you that you might be working with, working for, creating products for, creating services for. So I'm going to introduce you to the BOSS model. But first, I just want to talk about some things I think that that we're all probably aware of in terms of what happens to us along the journey in terms of grinding out a win. And that is, one of the things is choking. One of the things is getting partway to where we want to get, and then anxiety running over the top of us. Anxiety, fear of failure, fear of, will I be able to do this? Am I really good enough to go the distance on this thing? Is this really going to be as useful as I think it might be? Am I really going to be able to stand up under scrutiny if the going gets tough when I'm delivering my products, when I'm delivering my services, and people start to question me? And so avoiding that choking, sometimes what we call performance anxiety, is very important. And it's important, obviously, if you're an elite sports person, but it's important if you're in an organisation and you're trying to do the very best that you can do. And choking or heightened anxiety that gets in the way of our performance, of our behavioural performance, of us being able to institute the actions with confidence and with grit that we need to, comes out of basically our mindset. And what happens is that we can become quite irrational, we can become very negative, we can get involved in what's called the what if syndrome. What if I don't succeed in this? What if this isn't as good as I think it might be? And then that starts to demotivate us, and that builds also then heightened emotion, and the sort of emotion that as a human being we might not like to have, an overwhelming concern, an overwhelming fear, worry, this pervasive worry that runs on, that keeps us up of a night, that stops us being able to concentrate on things, as we try to put a plan together, for example, to be the very best that we are capable of becoming. So what we need to do is we need to make sure that we institute attitudinal efficiency, and that is being flexible, adaptable, rational, positive, and solution-focused with our thinking, with our beliefs, and with our rational thoughts in particular, to make sure that we, for example, if we hit a challenge, if we hit a roadblock along the way, that we don't freak out. We don't say to ourselves, I knew this would happen, this is terrible, this is awful, this is shocking, this is the end of the known world as I know it, this is the end of my ability to really continue to do this. But we face it from a growth mindset perspective, which really is about, well, this is a little painful. I would rather this isn't happening. I'd rather this challenge wasn't there, but it is. So what is it that I can do about it? What can I learn from it if I've allowed it, or inadvertently it has tripped me up a little along the way? What is it that I can learn from it? What is it that I can do differently next time? And that might be from an attitudinal perspective, to remain more flexible, positive and solution focused, or it might be really that I need to change my approach to something, that a strategic approach, a process that I had put in place didn't work. So what can I learn about that, and how then can I transform the process, the road that I was going down, the journey that I was on, to achieve what it was that I was trying to achieve. That can help us actually persevere, and it can help us keep things in perspective so that we don't choke, that we see that, you know, if we're really trying our hardest, we are going to slip up on things. We're going to fail at certain aspects of what it is we might be able to trying to achieve, or where we might be able to get to. Failure is a part of success, and science, the way science progresses. Science progresses by, well, that didn't work. Well, that didn't work. Well, that didn't work. That seemed to work. Can we build on that? That worked. That didn't work. That didn't work. That worked. That worked. Bang, got it. And so it's very much about making sure that we remain calm, that we remain focused, that we remain on our game plan. And certainly we can tweak our game plan. Never have a plan that is set in cement. It always needs to be flexible and adaptable. We need to be able to change it if circumstances external to us in particular change around us. Then we need to be flexible and adaptable, and making sure that we can change the way that we are going about something, and change what it is that we might be doing along the way there. So another aspect I think of going the journey, of grinding out a win, is making sure that we have a process in place, as I was getting at, and that we do have steps towards where it is that we're getting to, and to make sure that we reinforce what we have done and can do, and not just focus on what we still have to do or haven't been able to do as yet. That can become very demotivating and can actually be an energy vampire rather than an energy injector for us. It is far, if you like, an analogous situation is climbing a mountain. If you're climbing a hill and you might start feeling fatigue, look at how far you've come. Look at the journey you've already taken. Don't think so much about the journey you've yet got to go, but pay yourself off for the journey that you've already done, the achievement that you've already made in getting to where it is that you're at, and then away you go again. And break the next distance that you've got to go into stages, break it into 3 stages, 4 stages. And after the first part of that stage, rest and reflect. Rest and reflect upon the fact that you are now another third or another quarter closer towards the summit of that mountain that you're climbing. And once again, pat yourself on the back for making the effort to get to where you are getting, and the perseverance that you are putting in place. Because it is important. It's like elite sport. In elite sport, as we all know, you go out and you play 2 halves, you play 4 quarters, whatever it might be. The game isn't won in the first quarter. The game isn't won in the first half. You're only part way there. So what we really need to make sure that we are doing is that we are focusing on winning the next point, on being as good as we possibly can at the next play, at the next stroke, at the next kick, at the next handball, at the next pass, whatever it is, just remain focused on giving it our very best shot in that time frame. Play our role, do the basics really well, and then make sure also that we're supporting others around us who are coming with us on the journey. Because grinding out a win and grinding out success is normally not about ourselves. It's normally about a team focusing, or an organisation focusing in on a purpose, on a mission that they may have, on a meaningful pursuit, whether that is processes, whether it is goods and services, whatever it might be that you are producing. But normally what we're involved in is a systems approach. And for a system to work well, the cogs in that system, the people that make up the system, and different parts of that system, need to work well together. It's not just about the individual getting his or her task done well. It is making sure that overall we work well together to get the task done well that we need to get done well to get to the final point, to the final outcome, to that thing that we are producing, to produce it as well as we possibly can at the end of the day. So it's very important to make sure that we don't just focus on our own role. That is important, and we need to do that and do it very well. We need to do the basics well. And then every now and then we may have to take risk and go out on the limb and do something that others might not be expecting, but we firmly believe it is the best thing we can do at the time, because the circumstances around us might be such that the game plan we had, we can't go to the next step of that without actually trying something a little different. And where possible, of course, let the rest of our fellow journeywomen know what it is that we're going to do. But that's not always possible. Sometimes we've got to do it and then explain ourselves later. But it's having, I guess, the courage of your convictions at times to make sure that we do give it our very best shot to be the best that we can possibly be there. Now, in grinding out a win, what are the aspects that are really quite important in making sure that we are able to go the distance of the journey? And I think in focusing on these things and actually achieving these things, what we're doing, as I was saying earlier, is we're building our self-efficacy. We're building our belief in ourselves, not just to be able to do this thing, but to do the next thing and the thing after that. We're building, if you like, our confidence, our self-regard, and our belief in ourselves to be able to do what needs getting done. And we mightn't always be able to do that ourselves. We might need to bring others with us on the journey, but it is very important. So the foundations of what we call success, building on success, which is part of that grinding out a win, because what we want to be doing in grinding out a win is building our potential for success. So there's 5 things that I believe are in the foundation, in the building blocks, 5 building blocks in the foundation of being successful and being able to be successful time after time again. The first, and we can't get away from this, is just diligence. It is hard work and planning. Plan, knowing where we want to go, knowing what it is basically that we need to do to get there, having a plan to get there, and then working hard at that plan and not allowing ourselves to be sidetracked or detoured from that plan. And in working hard, it is more possibly really around working smart. Smart goals are really quite important there. It is being passionate and having zest, spirit and energy for what it is that we are doing. If we don't have that passion and we don't believe that what we're doing is a meaningful pursuit for ourselves and others, then often we will give up. We will not be able to go the journey. As something goes wrong, it is too easy to say, I've had enough of this. I'm tossing in the towel now. I'm going to hang up the white flag. I can't persevere with this. I can't be bothered. But if we are passionate about something, if we understand what it means for ourselves or others, and we're passionate about that, we believe it is very much a meaningful journey that we're on, it's more likely that we'll hang in there. Building really enriching relationships and rapport with others is another important building block. It's not about, I think, as the wise person said, it's not about being an island, but it is about being an important part of a continent. No person really is an island under themselves and can maintain success, can maintain the journey of grinding out a win if they try and go it all by themselves. Elite sports people have a support crew around them, and often there's more in the support crew than there is, for example, in a playing group. And being able to have meaningful relationships and rapport with people and building those, not just getting the tasks done, but making sure that we focus time and energy on building the relationships and building rapport. Being part of teamwork and support of others is the next journey on from, I guess, building the relationships. But teamwork is about heading as part of the team towards the team goals. What is the team there to achieve? And those team goals need to outstrip our own goals. They need to be more important than our own goals, because if the team doesn't meet its goals, it's likely that what we're setting out to do will not happen to the degree that it otherwise could in producing a high level of services and a high level of products that we might be involved in. So being able to work as a team, being able to pitch in and help others when we need to, being able to change what it is that we are doing and working on, change our priorities at times because it is important for the team is very, very important indeed. We need an attitude that says the we is more important than the me. The me is important, but the we is more important than the me. And we need to work towards building the we, building the team cohesion through having relationships individually with people, but building the team as a dynamic and high-performing, functioning team. The other basic building block is building trustworthiness and dependability, so that people can trust and depend on us to give it our very best shot. We may not always get there. We may not always be able to deliver what it is that people are needing us or wanting us to deliver, but they know that we will give it our very best. And if we don't get there the first time, that we will rearm, recalibrate, and move on again, learning from the first instance of when we didn't quite get there. What went well, what were the strengths in what we did, and what were some of the work areas, things that didn't work so well, that we need to turn into strengths as we go. Now, there's a couple of pillars that are really important to build on these foundation building blocks, and that is ambition and sincerity. If we're not sincere in what it is that we're doing, in the manner in which we're doing it, and authentic, if you like, people will see through us, and they'll be less likely to build rapport with us. And if we don't have the ambition, then how can we be passionate? Without ambition, without really wanting to be the best that we are capable of becoming, it's very difficult to show passion and diligence over time. Our approach will break down, and people will see that we're not as trustworthy, as dependable in giving it our best shot, working hard, being passionate, sincere about building relationships. And so ambition and sincerity in the way and the manner in which we conduct ourselves are so very important. Then the second level of building blocks, which we could call the development phase of success, if you like, involve discipline and willpower. Without being disciplined, without sticking to our cause, without sticking to our mission, without sticking to the game plan, without sticking to the processes that we have in place, and having the willpower, the impulse control to do that, we won't get where it is that we're going. We need to be open to awareness and preparedness. So we need to prepare well and to continue to prepare and continue to be flexible by gaining awareness and then accepting where we're at, what's working. Get feedback. As we know, feedback is the breakfast of champions. What's working? What's not working? What can we do better next time? And it's only when we've got really good awareness can we prepare our actions to move forward, knowing that we are now on the right track, because we don't get feedback and we're not aware of where we are, we can go anyway, because we don't know which might be the right way. We don't know what are the elements that are working well. We need feedback, and we need to provide each other with feedback in the team, for example. And we need to get feedback from outside the team. We need to be resourceful and continue to show creativity. So we can't be passive. We can't just do it in a conventional manner and do things the way we've always done it. That might not work into the future. So we need to be resourceful. We need to look at new ways of doing things, new services. We might need to bring new people, new ideas into the team when we hear about something that sounds pretty good to us and that we believe might be able to help us on our journey and help us grind out that win and actually build the sustainability of our success into the future. And we need focus and concentration. Without focus and concentration, without staying on our cause, without making sure that we don't detour too far from our true north. Where are we trying to get? Why are we trying to get there? What do we need to do to get there? And then making sure that we actually do focus and concentrate on the small things and some of the larger things, the larger plan, and then the small bits. And the process that might build that larger plan, that might build that larger picture of where we're going, why we're going, and how we're going to get there, to make sure that we maintain and reflect upon, am I focused? Have I detoured? Am I doing the simple things rather than doing the important things at the moment? Has my concentration been sucked away from me by something over here, which is a little bit more motivating for me at the moment, but not helping me really and helping us get to where we want to get to. So the next pillars then, the pillars that we build on top of this series of building blocks, this developmental level, if you like, the two pillars there that are important are really adaptability and honesty. Be honest, own up. If we make mistakes, if we don't know how to do something, be honest about it and seek help. Seek help from others. People normally like to help other people. They will pitch in, especially if you've been sincere. They see that you're ambitious, you've been diligent, you're showing passion for what's happening, and they can see that you're trying to build really good relationships and support the team and support teamwork in getting things done. Then people will pitch in and help you. And especially if we do show vulnerability-based honesty. And that is really around, hey, maybe I need to do something a bit differently here. I'm not sure what to do. I've messed up on something. Sorry, guys. I need a hand now with getting back on the track and finding out what I need to do properly. And being flexible and adaptable. It's just so important. As I've said, the way we did it yesterday may not work for tomorrow. It may be. Let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater. Let's stay focused on what it is that we know is a firm foundation, but let's be resourceful and use feedback and awareness to make sure that we are doing things as well as we can. So the third level then, and this consists of 3 building blocks, is what we call the consolidation phase of success. And that brings out robustness and capability. We do need the capability. We need to have the skills. We need to be well trained in what it is that we're doing. That might be leadership, it might be management, or it might be in some form of technical skills, or the role that we're playing. We need to have capability and robustness. We need to be resilient and be able to hang in there as we take the knocks and the bangs along the way, as well as the wins along the way. We need competence and proficiency. We need to understand and build on our competence as we go, learn, take on challenges, do courses, learn from others. If someone's doing something better than us, don't get jealous about it. Sit back and say, what are they doing well? How can I build that into what I do? How can I take that on? And how can I build that into the way that I go about myself so that I am actually more proficient in what it is that I do? And building cohesion and commonality in what it is that we're doing, looking at why are we here, reflecting upon why are we here, and building cohesion wherever we get the opportunity, through giving feedback to others, through giving positive feedback to others, through giving a developmental feedback to others. Well, I think if you go about it this way, mate, you might get a better outcome. But building that cohesion, whenever we get the opportunity to say something, do something for others, to build the glue into the approach that we are taking, and reflecting upon from time to time with others, why are we here doing this together? What is in this for us, and what is in it for others, that we are building the systems, that we are building these services or these products for? What's the commonality we've got here? Why are we doing this together? What do we want to get out of it? What do we want to get out of it for others? And then the two pillars that sit on top of that level, if you like, are the pillars of resourcefulness and reliability. We do need to be resourceful, as we saw before, but this is the glue, if you like, that brings out our capability, competence, and our cohesion and commonality with others. We need to be resourceful, so we need to look for ways of doing it, and reliable, building the reliability in ourselves and the processes that we're putting in place. So what we want to do is not to make major changes normally along our track to success, but transform gradually what we're doing. Start off with a plan and then transform it. Look at what works, make sure we keep those things going, and what's not working, let's get better at that by transferring some of the ways that we actually go about it, or some of the things that we are actually doing. So resourcefulness and reliability are the pillars that in particular glue together the consolidation phase of success and the delivery phase, when we are actually starting now to really deliver what it is that we set out to build and to construct there. So the two building blocks that are in level 4, or what we call the delivery phase, or what we call what we call, the first thing is dignity and self-respect. Make sure that the manner in which we go about ourselves is dignified, and that we hold our self-respect. Don't cut corners, don't tell fibs, don't tell lies. Stand up if we do something wrong and be accountable. Make sure that we give it our very best shot to do what it is that we need to do. Don't talk behind other people that we're working with behind their back, but if we've got something to sort out, go directly to them. If something has got in the way of our way forward, we're going to be late with the delivery of something, then tell the people that that might affect up front that is going to happen. And the other part of this important building block is self-efficacy. That is belief in ourselves to be able to do what it is that we need to do to play a very good role, and a very firm and meaningful role in the success of what we are doing. Now, self-efficacy comes out of making sure that we don't just take for granted the steps forward that we've made, the things that we've done well, but that we do use reflective practice, and we sit back and we go over, we show ourselves, if you like, self-gratitude by keeping a gratitude journal, if we need to, about the things that we're doing well. What have we learned? What skills are we building upon? What have we put in place that's made it very much a slightly easier road for us moving forward, because we've learnt how to do something, we've learned how to get on top of something, we've learnt a part of a process, a strategy or a system that has allowed us to get on part, and make sure that we are very positive with our self-talk, and that we do attitudinally run through our self-talk well done. Make sure that we develop, if you like, optimism and not pessimism. And optimism comes out of making sure that we look at what we have done right and building on that, giving ourselves a pat on the back. And when things go wrong, yep, we can spit the dummy for a short period of time, but then look at, okay, what can we learn? What can we do differently into the future moving forward? Self-efficacy is one of the greatest gifts that we can build in ourselves, that we can give to ourselves, this belief in ourselves to give it our very best shot. And also to build in our teammates, in our workmates, and in particular in our children. And the pillars that are really important that glue these things together, and that we need to build on top of this, fight, grit, and integrity, that really are very, very important here. And integrity comes out of not so much our intention, but our behaviour. What are other people seeing us doing? Are other people seeing us doing things with a high degree of integrity? As I was saying before, we're not making excuses. We're not cutting corners. We're not doing something because it's cheaper. We're not trying to get away with something. We're not trying to sweep something under the carpet, but we are out there, good, the bad and the ugly. So when things go wrong, we own up to it and we do something about it. And the fight and the grit is that when the going gets tough, people don't see us cave in. They don't see us projecting blame onto others. They don't see us getting into a poor me trip, a self-blame or a self-guilt trip. They see us doubling down, taking responsibility for what's happening, the good, and what we might need to be able to do better, but they see that we do have fight and grit so that they can believe in us, that we will go the journey, that we will hang in and get this done, that no matter what we are involved in, we will give it our very best shot to be as successful as we are capable of becoming. And the last building block in what we call the final push is really around this word that we have created called stickability. And that is basically around making sure that throughout this whole process, we continue to have a high level of drive and motivation. And that comes from making sure that we look after ourselves physically and physiologically, that we're getting enough sleep, that we're eating well, that we're exercising, going to the gym, so that we do have the drive, we do have the energy to go the distance, so that we've got good work-life integration. We're taking breaks from work. It's not all just about a high level of responsibility and striving, but it is also about being able to have a laugh, being able to catch up with friends, go out to dinner, play a bit of our favourite sport, watch a movie, do something that might be a hobby that we are very, very interested in. It might be working with charity, etc. So that we do we do maintain our drive and our motivation. And once again, our motivation has got to be intrinsically driven. We've got to sit back and really realise through this use of reflective practice, why are we doing this? What's in it for us? What's in it for others? It is really very important that we look at that and that we continually learn, because motivation, part of building motivation is building the ability to learn new things, new skills, new attitudes towards things, new ways of doing things. So drive and motivation really help big time with the stickability. And then, of course, the final pillars towards sustainable success are, once again, self-efficacy and patience. And we've already covered off on self-efficacy, but it is having the patience. It's understanding that often we will be quite successful and we can be an overnight success, but normally that's taken us 10 years or 5 years to get to where it is that we're going. That patience is a virtue, it really is. We need to be able to hang in there, because the wind will blow from different directions, the water will flow from different directions, the tide comes in and out, and that's an analogous way of looking at life. At times we can force life and have it the way that we would like it to be. At other times we need to flow with life, because it will be handing us up challenges that we just can't resolve quickly. And we need to flow with it for a while. And we need to flow with perhaps a feeling that this is not going to resolve overnight, that there is uncertainty here, and the duration of that uncertainty may run on for a while. It may, in fact, run on for a bit longer than I thought it would. But the ability to be patient, to hang in there, and to have good impulse control, so that we have good reality testing and good problem solving, and don't make impulsive decisions about things, is really important if we want to go on a journey of sustainable success, grinding out wins as we go. So that is really all I wanted to go over in this webinar. Right? It's just a real opportunity, I think, to reflect upon what is really quite important along our journey of success. And certainly, hopefully, the boss model that I've just gone over with you has resonated in terms of not necessarily learning anything new, because most of us would have known about the inclusions, the building blocks that we've talked about here. But it is often gaining that awareness and understanding what of those elements am I doing well? If I was to rate myself out of 10, what am I getting consistently an 8 out of 10 on? And what might I be getting a 4 or a 6 out of 10 on? So I need to concentrate a bit more in those areas. The time I've been spending on this, just the amount of energy, physical or psychological energy it has taken, has started to wear me down a bit. And I need to recoup and reformulate what I'm doing, and then rebound and move on and continue moving towards where it is that is so meaningful for me to get to. So that concludes this webinar, Grinding Out the Win, in this Psych Up series for the month of July. So all the very best, everybody, and may you be as successful as you are capable of becoming. And as I think the word indicates, hang in there, show stickability in what it is that you're doing. Build the drive and emotion and motivation, fight grit and integrity, resourcefulness and reliability, adaptability and honesty, ambition and sincerity, diligence, relationships, teamwork, resourcefulness, competence. Build that competence and make sure that you harness the strength that comes from that. Build a competence bank, if you like, and make sure you put deposits in that when you do things well. All the very best, everybody. Take care.